What's going on, guys? Welcome to Victims and Villains. If you guys are new to our content or our channel, we create content like what you're watching right now, simply to educate and engage individuals like yourselves on mental health awareness and suicide prevention through pop culture. My name's Captain Nostalgia. I have the privilege of being a writer, podcaster, and the director of our film festival called Horrific Hope. If you guys would like more information about who we are, what we do, our podcasts, as well as our more movie reviews like this, more information about our film festival, links to our socials, Patreon, and most importantly, our mental health resource library. All of those can be found in the show notes below. And this feels like a video that is 2 years too late. This is a movie that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. And I'm still not ready to talk about it. Give me 1 second. All right. You see that? There we go. I'm ready now. I'm ready. Are you guys ready to talk about Bob's Burgers? Are you guys ready? So this has been a movie that has been in this weird limbo phase because they announced it way back when, in like 2017 originally, that we were getting a Bob's Burgers movie. I remember because I was at New York Comic Con at the Bob's Burgers pop-up when they made the announcement. I was so excited. Then they canceled it, and then they re-announced it, and then they canceled it again, and then here we are. It's finally here. I gotta say, as someone that truly loves the series, this was a movie that I saw absolutely no promotional material for whatsoever, and I tried to go in as blind as possible, and this movie really surprised me in a lot of ways, and I'll get into it here in just a few minutes. Let's talk about the synopsis. Bob's Burgers movies takes the Belchers to the silver screen where the kids, Louise, Jean, and Tina, are on a quest to solve a murder mystery after a dead body pops up in front of a sinkhole formed in front of the Bob's Burgers restaurant. There's a little bit more elements that go into it, and yes, this is a musical, or at least it has a Disney-esque musical flair to it, but that in a nutshell is what you're walking into when you're talking about the Bob's Burgers movie. I love it when you have series that are normally on TV and have a very limited budget, and they have to curate that animation to said budget, and then you get a big screen adaptation, and the big screen adaptation just looks absolutely breathtaking when you're talking about the animation. The Simpsons movie is a great example of this. The animation in this movie is absolutely stunning. It's breathtaking. It's crisp. It's beautiful. 10 years before The Simpsons was released, we got South Park bigger, longer, and uncut. And the same rules apply to this. The animation in this still today just absolutely takes your breath away. And now Bob's Burgers really feels like it joins that elite club of television sitcoms that are animated, that cross over into the big screen with just jaw-dropping animation. I mean, the animation just absolutely... there's no other way to say it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Call it what you want. It is one of the best highlights of this movie. This movie looks spectacular on the big screen, and just as a movie, period. And with Bob's Burgers, there is comedy. There's a lot of comedy and a lot of heart in this movie. The third act, the climax in particular, has a lot of heartfelt stories. It brings a lot of character backstory that we didn't even have after 12 seasons of spending time with the Belcher family, which was nice because there were aspects of the story that you've just kind of taken from episode 1, and here they actually kind of flesh a lot of those missing links out. But I'll also say too that like when it comes to comedy, I feel like comedy is really hard to do. We've seen a lot of comedies being made in the last 5 to 10 years, and a lot of them are really forgettable. It seems like anymore, to be a memorable comedy, you have to be really raunchy, and that's just not the case with me. Like, I like raunchy humor, but it's not something that like I want to dive into all the time. I want comfort movies. I want movies that I can just turn my brain off, and I know I'm gonna laugh and have a good time. The reason why I love movies like The Simpsons movie, Mean Girls, Step Brothers, because these are movies that I've seen countless times that I can absolutely turn my brain off and just in my PJs just kind of hang out and just laugh and just lose myself within these characters. It's part of the reason that I loved The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent as much as I did, because it's a movie that I can see myself coming back to time and time again as a comfort film, and Bob's Burgers definitely joins Nicolas Cage in being that. The type of humor that we get here is irrelevant, but yet at the same time there are multiple moments within this movie that I just could not stop laughing, like I was gasping to regain my breath. And as I said, comedies for me are really hard to review because comedies hit people in different ways. But I feel like with Bob's Burgers and even on Massive Talent, those are two movies that Nicolas Cage being adored and Bob's Burgers being an acclaimed series, I feel like those are two that I can kind of talk about and review with confidence that you will laugh. Even if it's just once, I think that this is a fun film that you're really going to enjoy yourself here. I really feel like when you're talking about movies that are coming out of television success, it's always really hard to kind of talk about and gauge things like pacing and character development. There is no character development here. I will say it is kind of like filling in the gaps of the lore, as I previously alluded to, but the pacing here is just so wonderful. One of the reasons that I love Bob's Burgers so much as a series is that it takes this 22-minute story and it absolutely they're bite-sized adventures. They're taking their time, but they're paced really well, and there's a great payoff at the end. And much like this series, the creators and the writers do exactly the same thing here, to where you're getting a solid film that is being poured into just in a wonderful, wonderful way. I really liked how this movie kind of came about. It has that murder mystery aspect of it, a dash of the musical, and the pacing works itself like a murder mystery, but yet at the same time it feels like an extended director's cut of one of the episodes with just richer animation, and this is everything you want from a Bob's Burgers movie. And with this being a musical, I will also say that I'm not the hugest fan of musicals. They're not my favorite genre of film, but I do enjoy this one, and I probably, if they do a vinyl release for it, I might end up actually picking up the vinyl release for the soundtrack. The soundtrack for this movie is phenomenal. Alright, let's talk about ratings. This is our Rorschach rating scale, and I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 4.5 out of 5. This might be one of the best television to film adaptations I've ever seen done. This movie just exudes so much joy, humor, heart, rich animation, great songs, and there are even moments where they utilize the murder mystery part where I felt like I was drawn to the edge of my seat, similarly to how I was with Scream earlier this year. So if you guys have seen Bob's Burgers, the movie, or are a fan of the series, let me know below what you guys thought of the movie, or your favorite episode of the series, or who is your favorite Belcher. Let me know, but let's go ahead and talk about mental health. If you guys are new to our content, mental health moments where we take a theme of mental health from the movie which we were reviewing, talk about it for a few moments in hopes to deconstruct the stigma surrounding mental health. One of the things that I really admire about this movie is just it's like I said, it's just like the television show, but one of the driving forces of why the Belcher kids are going on this journey throughout the 100 and some odd minute duration of this movie is because in the beginning of the movie, one of Louise's schoolmates ends up calling her a baby, to which she takes massive offense to. It kind of becomes this journey for her character to kind of prove that she is not who this one person thinks that she is, that she's kind of big, bad, tough, that she has it all together. And I want to talk about that for just a few moments because there's a lot to unpack here. First off, you're giving into peer pressure, which is never bodes well for final results. Sometimes peer pressure can end up developing within us toxic traits that we carry on to other relationships well into adulthood. Not to mention that sometimes it can create harmful traits that can actually also cause depression and suicidal tendencies. And on the flip side, you talk about identity. Sometimes who we think and who we believe that we are actually gets tied to who people say that we are because of the things that we end up doing out of peer pressure. That is really what I want to talk about because I feel like it's most important for us as human beings and for our mental health to truly understand identity, and how identity is not necessarily something that is supposed to be wrapped up in what we do, but actually who we are as individuals. Let me repeat that. Your identity is not wrapped up in what you do, but who you are. And sometimes that's really hard to grasp. Lisa's journey throughout the entire course of this film is the fact that she has taken up identity in what others are saying about her, and she's spending all of time, energy trying to disprove that sense of identity that she has clung herself to. And I just want to encourage everyone in here, identity is something that quite literally takes years to figure out. Not a one-size-fits-all kind of solution, but understanding your identity is not necessarily wrapped up in the friends you keep, the spouse or the significant other that you have, the job that you do, or whatever have you. Fill in the blank for whatever you want, but your identity is wrapped up in who you are. It's going to take a long time to figure out and answer that question of who are you without associating it to all of the other things that I just mentioned. But that journey of identity and self-discovery will be valid, will be incredibly satisfying and incredibly important to your overall mental health journey. Don't let other people tell you who you are or what you can do, how you think, or whatever have you, because at the end of the day, you live with the choices that you make regardless of whether or not it was peer pressure or not. And as always, I want to encourage you that if you or someone you know is watching this right now and you're struggling with suicide, addiction, self-harm, or depression, please click the links in our descriptions below and check out our mental health resource library. Thank you guys for watching, and keep tuned, keep subscribing and hitting that like button. We'll be back in next week talking about crimes of the future.